Hello, everyone. We are going to look at an Endymion, at least I think that's how he says it, an Endymion video today. With this, it's about the new Nintendo stuff. Devin something is taking over for Nintendo of America as the president, and then, oh shoot, what's the guy's name? I can't remember. He's going to go over a bunch of stuff. It's a 17-minute video, which means by the time my professional yapping is done, this video should probably be around 30 minutes. But, yeah. So, we're going to hear the background about folks and whatnot, but in a general catch-up of my general concept of Nintendo, they are getting worse and worse by the year. Bowser did more damage to that company than I thought was possible. Everything is microtransactioned. Everything is nickel and dimed. Their internet, or their multiplayer, their internet live service functionality is garbage. They refuse to release any sort of big packages. The Mario anniversary is a garbage thing. They're giving two games, Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2. Mario Galaxy was sold in the anniversary 5 years ago. Now you're basically spending $80 or $70 for just one new game. So with that, Nintendo's really shooting themselves in the foot, in my opinion. So let's hear what Endymion has to say, and we'll yap along with it. Also, I appreciate comments and subscription down below, and also if you don't follow Endymion, go check him out.
Well, fellas, it looks like Nintendo is about to get even more activist-driven, which is rightfully causing
Nintendo has been really bad about their lawsuits lately. The stuff with
the people who have been ruining Nintendo's image by pushing for more legal nonsense,
Pokemon's
lawsuits and concepts like
retroactive patent applications and stuff like that, and trying to create basically a legal stranglehold on a lot of common game mechanics has me terrified, because they will just abuse those patents completely.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion are now going to have.
And a lot of people are saying that the patent office here in the United States
let's start from the top and keep going, because it's a lot.
Made a mistake in approving it because they didn't actually look at anything about it.
Bowser to leave Nintendo. Yeah,
I'm glad Bowser's leaving, because he oversaw it with a period where it was getting worse and worse and worse. And I know people are saying that came from the Japanese side, but I really don't believe it. I really don't believe it. Because the Nintendo side, or the Japanese side, hasn't had nearly as many shakeups. It was really once Reggie left and Bowser took over that stuff got really bad and got worse every year. The last 6 years, Nintendo has nickel and dimed and withheld good functionality and not cared about its clients and customers, not cared about any of that stuff. In my opinion, anytime that someone is in a video game company, literally the first question that should be asked to them is, what's your favorite game? What's your favorite game genre? Why do you like it so much? And if they struggle to answer that in any way, like indicating that they don't know what to even say, like, it's one thing for us to be saying something along the lines of, oh geez, I love so many, I love RPGs, I love FPS, I love puzzle games, I love them all, what's my favorite? That's a really hard question. That's indicating that you play a lot of games and it's hard to make a decision. But if you ask that question to someone that doesn't play and they're like, I guess I like Candy Crush, they're not a gamer. They should not be hired. They should be They should be shown the door right away and never be seen in another interview, because whenever you allow accountants and lawyers and marketing to run a company, you lose what made gaming fun from that company. That's my opinion. Just to put that out there ahead of all this happening, so that, as he goes, where I stand as a baseline.
Former Electronic Arts.
And also the fact that our consumer protections should 100% be protected. And the scummier things get with the idea of you're licensing our game, not actually an owner. That's a crock. That's a crock of shit. Nope. I buy your game for $80. I don't license your game for $80. And the United States needs to pass an actual law that says Nintendo and all the other companies that try to use that licensing jargon can just suck a big one.
Executive who ran Nintendo.
So that doesn't sound very Christian, but, you know, we use flowery language. Catholics use the Lord's name in vain daily, even though they're not supposed to. So if I'm swearing, it's not the biggest thing in my view.
Of America for the past 6 years is officially leaving the company. He's actually retiring and going to likely enjoy his cushy golden parachute for the rest of his life. Doug Bowser was someone who ran Nintendo of America and allowed many of this activist nonsense stuff to just run amok. Because in case you don't know, Nintendo's American branch is heavy, and I can't stress this enough, heavy into pushing DEI into all of your favorite video games. It didn't start with Doug Bowser, he just allowed it to fester even further, and a good example is back in 2015. As seen here from Eurogamer, when Nintendo's censorship removed breast sliders and character creation for Xenoblade Chronicles.
I'd have just assumed that that was Nintendo trying to be more kid-friendly. Personally, I would not have assumed that this was a DEI, we don't want women to be busty and beautiful.
That's right, fellas. Nintendo took
the
away
opposite
your
of
right
gotcha.
to big booby waifus over 10 years ago, and the censorship has only gotten worse since then. But like I said, Bowser is officially...
Every boy gamer likes booba. Every single one. Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, atheist, every boy loves Big Booba. There is no exception. Well, sorry, there is exception. Gay boys do not like Big Booba. They still might like Big Booba. They just might not be interested in the rest. Booba are fun to boys' brains. That's just how it is.
Yeah, so
that's why
good,
gachas
right?
do so well.
Shouldn't we be, celebrating like the Ewoks in Return of the Jedi right now? Well, not exactly. You see, it was already announced who would become the new head of Nintendo of America, and here's where things get, just let me explain. The new president of Nintendo America is Devin Pritchard. That's lady
Devin
on screen
Pritchard.
Here with the insane...
She's got crazy eyes. Look at that face. She looks like she's barely holding in the crazy.
gum to teeth ratio. Just look at that.
It's a bit of low-hanging fruit on that smile comment. It is funny though. But yeah, she's got crazy eyes. She looks like someone that will stab your cat whenever you tell her no.
Jesus. But anyway, she's been at Nintendo for about 19 years so far, which should mean she's primed for
19 years,
right? I mean, this is the first time a woman...
Just because you're somewhere for a long time does not mean you deserve to be president. That's just the fact of the matter. I work for a company that the president gal is making such awful decisions. She is making awful decisions for the company. The only reason that the company hasn't had horrible results is because we have an industry that only has like 4 or 5 major market shareholders, and we were already one of them before she became the president of it. And so it's hard to shift away from it whenever there's only 3 competitors. But that said, she did so much. She does a lot of stupid decisions. She wastes millions of dollars. I saw the books myself. I was tasked with moving accounting sheets and stuff like that from one server to another to ensure that it was in position. I got to see each of them because I had to... I'm not going to get into it. I had to open them to save them to the new location. That's the point. Those files showed me projects worth $3 to $5 million that were taking 3 to 5 years long and were literally just taking something that we had full functionality of and redoing it in a second position. That is a huge waste of money. Massive waste of money. So, yeah, just because you're there for a long time does not mean you are qualified. There are women that are qualified to be executive suite individuals, whether it is presidents, CEOs, vice presidents. There are women who are qualified. But just to say, I've been here for 19 years, it's my turn, is entitlement and stupid. Oh, and to just say that we need a woman because we want to have women is also stupid. DEI is absolutely retarded. It is dumb as hell. And it literally, if you have to have a certain percentage, there are not as many women that have the drive to do X, to become C-suite. They are there. But men have this like fierce drive of competitiveness and trying to be the top of the totem that often would result in them developing skill sets, finding ways to make themselves valuable, and earning that C-suite identification. Women, it's much, much, much lower. So if you are taking a position in the C-suite and you say, well, we've already got 3 guys and 2 women and we need to fill this, so now it has to be a woman because the population is basically 50-50, so we have to have a woman. You could very easily skip past 10 qualified men to get to the first qualified woman. And that is my problem. Meritocracy is everything, and I don't think Nintendo has that in them anymore.
Been in such a high leadership role in
Sorry
Nintendo.
for the tangent.
Isn't that great? Well, not really, because Devin, in case you don't know, is kind of insane when it comes to her legal stuff with Nintendo. You see, Devin
and she's the lawyer that's been doing all the
Nintendo
legal shit that I hate.
She's a master of lawsuits, litigation, and whataboutisms, protecting Nintendo's IP from many others. Sometimes it's warranted, like when Devin Pritchard won a lawsuit against Ghost Cyber Shopping, as seen here from 2017, via
this one makes sense.
Devin Pritchard won that case. To sum it up quickly for you, as also seen here, Devin won Nintendo a $9.5 million lawsuit against this chip maker that was illegally making Nintendo carts of games.
Yeah, you can't make illegal cartridges of things. That's not how it works at all.
Out of the loop, which is
you just can't.
Obviously against the law. As Devin Pritchard said 8 years ago, Nintendo has an established track record that demonstrates our resolve to protect our iconic characters and franchises.
You can protect them, but there's a line.
Years ago as well.
And retroactive patent application in order to prevent competition, specifically so that you cannot have people take away your market share, is an unacceptable way of doing it. And the patent office should have looked at this patent application and said, no, you don't get this. You are trying to abuse this system, and your patent is far too generic in general. Because as someone who has tried to do 3 separate patents in my time, you have to have it be specific enough that it is actually seen as whatever. And it also can't be a common thing. Like, you can't patent a water bottle that just holds water. It has to have some distinct, unique feature to it. Water bottle that is a water bottle is already common in the world, and you cannot patent it, even if there's not a patent for it yet.
As seen here from IGN, had to do with Quintal Research Group, which filed a patent in 2008 claiming that they own the rights to basically the control scheme of Nintendo-related products like the 4 directional buttons and so on. Apparently, Nintendo never actually patented this before this, so this group did that and then tried to force Nintendo to pay them for the patent license so that they could get...
So, let me summarize that really quick. Nintendo had its button schema layout. They then didn't patent it. They let it go. Another company then said, oh, we are going to get a retroactive patent for this button scheme layout that Nintendo uses. And then their plan was, we're going to now sue you for patent infringement unless you pay us a licensing fee in order to continue using it. This sounds exactly like what's happening right now, where Nintendo is getting a retroactive patent on features that are being used by another game already, aka Pocket Pals, and then trying, in this case, they aren't trying to get Pocket Pal to give you, or to give them a licensing fee. They are instead trying to just straight up shut down Pocket Pal. So actually worse. The one just wanted to get money out of the patent that they filed out of Nintendo, and Nintendo wants to completely squash competition. Nintendo's becoming scummier, dude.
money from them, but Devin
My
Pritchard again
dudes.
swooped in and destroyed them, and then Nintendo won the case. Although the irony is not lost on me that Nintendo got really angry here that another company tried to patent what is arguably iterative game design, since when it comes to Pal World and all the lawsuits there that's going on as well, Nintendo has quite literally done the same thing themselves to Pocket Pair recently, claiming that they own the right to say balls capturing monsters, and more recently saying that mods do not count as real games, which is directly meant to circumvent and challenge Pal World's lawsuit protections as well. And if you enjoy the content, please consider doing all the YouTube stuff like liking the video and more.
Yeah, do
Thank
go
you,
over to
but
Endymion
basically, like
if
I
you
said in a
don't
previous
know
video,
him, and
Nintendo really is an evil company.
and
They want to
follow.
own everything and destroy
Subscribe.
anybody who challenges them. So this is a long-winded way of saying that the woman who led the charge in destroying Nintendo's enemies via the legal system is
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it.
Yeah,
Just
I
by
don't pay
thinking
for.
about it.
I don't pay
Base
for
44.
now president
YouTube
of Nintendo America. So
video
what the hell
or whatever.
happens now, I hear
don't
you
do that.
asking? Well, let's get into that, I guess, now. If you haven't noticed
I
already,
don't wanna give
Devin
YouTube
is
more
pro
money.
Nintendo
Thank
in
you.
every way and very pro censorship, which I mean doesn't really surprise me, considering many studies have confirmed already that the overwhelming majority of women in the modern world tend to favor censorship over not having it. For example, here's a report from Psychology Today where they discuss studies taken about the gender gap when it comes to supporting censorship or not. As that same survey said, as it reads here, 59% of women said protecting free speech was less important than promoting an inclusive society, while 71% of men felt opposite. And that two more recent studies
That is a terrifying thing. Women are so in their feelings and in their emotional state that they literally, almost 2-to-1 would prefer that you are not permitted to say things that might be upsetting to them. This is why women overwhelmingly support censorship and DEI, and they're the ones that are always online saying, you know, you can't say that and shit like that. It's always women. Often it's ugly women as well, but that's beside the point. That's a low shot. It's not always ugly women. Attractive women do it too. But meanwhile, you have almost 30% of men agreeing with them, while 71% say, no, you having free speech is way more important than inclusivity.
proved as well that women are far more likely to support censorship than not.
Which that is honestly one reason why I would promote in a company that I ran men being towards the top, because if you stifle people being able to speak up freely, then you'll have people not telling you what's wrong. They won't have people telling you what is, off with things. They won't give you the truth. You won't be able to have things. You're going to have just a toxic environment because everyone's going to have to bottle stuff up, because it's the same reason why no one wants to talk to HR. HR is always women, and women will find a way to twist it on you any way that they can. It's ridiculous.
And why is that? Well, I'll probably sound a little bit sexist here, but women tend to usually
I don't
vote
care
and
to
agree
sound
with the female
sexist
hive
because
mind
I
more
love
than
women.
often than
Women
not.
are fantastic.
Many women,
God
especially
gave
in
us
professional
women
fields now,
as
that
a
are usually
gift to the
liberal-leaning.
world
This tends
because
to
they are
also
so
be the case.
phenomenally
After all,
wonderful.
Collective Shout, for example, which has been
But
devastating game platforms like Steam.
women
over the
have
past few months
to
with
not
pushing
let
credit
their
card
emotions run
companies to
them.
censor
They
Steam
have
and
to
more.
control
That
the
is also
emotions.
a female-only
That sounds super
activist group in
sexist,
Australia,
but
and they're conservative too.
it's the
Yet
truth.
still,
Men
just
also
like their
have to.
liberal
Men also have to control their emotions. But as men, we are told that if we don't control our emotions young, then we have something wrong with us. We need to do better, etc., etc. And as such, we learn at a young age not to flip out, not to freak out, not to overreact and do all that stuff. So we have the same thing that I'm saying women need to do, men do. We already do it. Just because we learned it at a young age, because attractive girl does something that is absolutely unacceptable by society, she's probably not going to get in a ton of trouble from people she knows. Some people may say something, maybe, but 90% of people are going to be like, well, it's not that big of a deal. We're just going to let it go. We're going to let it slide. Meanwhile, a boy would get in a ton of trouble. And because we get held accountable for losing control of ourselves like that, we very quickly learn not to lose control of our emotions. It's just a difference between boys and girls, which is another reason why whenever people try to transition and stuff, it's just like you missed the first. So even if someone transitions at 18, those first 17 years of being a boy or being a girl are completely different between the two. I don't know how trans ended up into this. I guess it's because she's female and men have differences and whatnot. And everything tangents into each other. Everything is connected. Sorry, we're going to get back to this.
They too
back to Nintendo.
Censorship over personal freedoms. You know it's bad when even the AI overview that Google presents admits that yes, as seen here, that women are far more likely to support censorship over men. So is this just a sexism thing then? Not exactly, no, because there was another big leadership change that coincides with this change in president. And that's the new CEO of Nintendo America, which is this guy on screen, Satoru Shibata. Who's Satoru? Let's get into that now. So Satoru, before he became CEO of Nintendo America, was a managing executive officer and corporate director within Nintendo for many, many years. And also, and this is key, Satoru has held the position of outside director specifically for the Pokemon Company as well. Satoru has been...
The fact that he's specifically tied to Pokemon Company makes me not like him, because the Pokemon Company has done worse for all of us in the last 5-6 years. Like, it's gotten worse. They don't include all the Pokemon. Their Pokemon designs have gotten worse, for sure. They abuse legal systems again. The fact that they've put literally zero innovation into their game. I don't know a single innovative thing that was actually cool and actually made sense and was actually justifiable. I don't know a single one. I can't think of a single one. Me and a friend talked about whenever Sword and Shield was coming out that they should have done the ability to equip an item to your Pokemon that, if it was a sword, would raise the attack power of whatever type that sword coordinated with, and if it was a shield, lessened attacks coming into you of that type. So that was our idea.
Key in creating
that would have been a fantastic innovation. Also, Nintendo, if you do this, I'm suing you.
Nintendo's reign. He has spent 20 years or so doing exactly this.
Because at that point, you're stealing my ideas, dudes.
For about a year until they formed a stronger foothold in that region. He was also president of Nintendo Europe for 18 years, from 2000 to 2018. He currently resides in Japan and is apparently low-key and really doesn't like to be seen in public, which I mean, I don't blame him. But behind the scenes, Satoru has been very headstrong on making Nintendo as strong as it can possibly be. But that connection to Pokemon specifically is worrying.
Don't blame that part.
Satoru has
wanting it to be strong
Pokemon
is important.
Game Freak to become DEI infested in recent years as well. And since we've seen Pokemon generally become far less favorable in terms of innovation, but most importantly when it comes to lawsuits, and how egregious Nintendo has been with those lawsuits, which I'll show you in just a second, this paints the picture that with Devin and Satoru, running Nintendo America the way they will, basically you now have two people who are very pro-censorship and pro-lawsuit in control of what is arguably
which is an
Nintendo's
absolute
biggest
problem.
Markets. And while I'm not going to accuse Devin Pritchard of this, it should also be said that usually when women are in power in executive roles, they also tend to hire more women under them to enact their policies into the
which
workplace.
Is a problem.
And this has been a cause for concern since, like I showed you, that many women in professional roles these days especially overwhelmingly support censorship, which in Nintendo's case is the last thing they kind of
need. At the place I work at, we do monthly DEI crap, and
have a strong legal and corporate backbone.
It's irritating to me because if you're white, you're screwed, because now someone who's a minority gets basically bonus points towards promotions or hiring. If you're a minority, you hate it, or you should hate it, because now you don't know yourself if you got it because you did a good job or if it's because of your skin color, and anyone around you is going to look at you and go, did you really earn that? Or is it because of the fact you're a minority? I mean, people that know you and know you do good work would be like, no, you definitely earned this. But random people in the business, random people in the organization, they're not going to necessarily know how good of work you do.
Nintendo's public image has been ruined thanks to how disastrously malicious they've been when it comes to wanting to destroy not just Palworld, but many other entities too that also threaten them, like earlier this year when Nintendo actually lost a lawsuit in Costa Rica because they tried to sue a supermarket for using the name Super Mario, as you can see here. But they lost because the name Super and Super Mario in this case was not because of Nintendo's character. It was called Super because Costa Rica uses Super
this is
in
absolutely
business names
ridiculous.
to tell customers that the market
Suing
they're going
a
to is
guy
a
that
supermarket
has a
over
supermarket
regular one. So
and his
therefore,
name is
Nintendo
Mario
lost them.
is
Or even
absolutely
10 years ago, as seen
unacceptable
here
and
from Vice when
cringy
Nintendo
as hell.
sued a diehard Nintendo fan, and this is crazy, for having a PAX-themed Pokemon kickoff party. So the person who got sued is Ramar Larkin Jones, who is a cafe manager at the time. Anyway, he hosted this unofficial party for fun, and he used Pikachu and Snivy on the posters to promote the party. It was a
That is
get-together
wild.
meant to have Super Smash Bros. To play and everyone hang out and a DJ play. But Nintendo said no, and that they now owed the money. Like, how stupid is that? The event was not even for profit, by the way. It was free. So I guess
You want to
can't even have a
smash,
birthday.
like, the fact that Nintendo has come after Pokemon parties, the fact that Nintendo has come after Smash tournaments, the fact that Nintendo has come after communities for just using Nintendo as a common point is showing how corrupted and vile they have become in their corporate levels.
Party that is Pokemon themed,
because they did the same thing with
otherwise people like Devin Pritchard will find
Smash
you and
tournament.
Suck your bank account dry, which is just
At least if I'm remembering correctly,
Ramar
I'm pretty sure I
ended
am.
up setting up a GoFundMe to play Nintendo because he couldn't afford the lawsuit. As you can see here, from 10 years ago, Ramar was able to fundraise almost $5,000, which was good, but even then Nintendo was still scummy as hell for doing this in the first place. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Ramar never played a Nintendo game again, because I wouldn't. That's just terrible PR for them. That's not the end of stupidity with Nintendo either, because in 2023, Makani Tran, as seen here, was disqualified from a Pokemon trading card
This is
themed
also
tournament
absolutely
because
ridiculous.
he nervously laughed when the judges asked him for his preferred pronouns, and no, I'm not kidding. So the judges
That is
claimed
absolutely
that Tran
ridiculous.
here violated their inclusivity policy that Nintendo enforces upon their players. But Tran pushed back, saying that he let out a nervous laugh in the moment.
I forgot about that. Imagine being caught off guard by a question, chuckling a little bit because you're like, oh, yeah, and then getting literally banned from the tournament that you were there to play.
To be asked that when he was just there to, play the game. As Makani Tran said, the judge looked at me and,
"How dare you not be in our political sphere? We want absolute control. I must say them. How dare you laugh at the idea of preferred pronouns?"
said, okay, just wanted to check to be safe. I go by they, them, so don't be a jerk about it. Ah, of course. The judge who got a literal teenager disqualified from a Pokemon card
Absolutely
tournament
unacceptable
is
that this
someone who
ever
goes
was
by
allowed to
they,
happen.
them, because of course it is. Again, even after Tran apologized, this they, them judge felt that it wasn't enough to heal their clearly fragile ego, and they instead made a scene, which then led to Tran being taken out of the tournament officially. Tran would reiterate more as he said here, the little laugh
Absolutely wild and
I was
unacceptable.
trying not to be awkward, and because I was just stating the exact thing Alex, that's his opponent at the time in the game, had just stated, and it was kind of silly for me in that scenario. But regardless, he was made an example out of, and again, these are the people that are employed and okayed by Nintendo of America specifically to enact these rules.
I
and it's
would
things
never
like this
allow
that are
those people
allowed
to be anywhere
happen
near it
because of Nintendo
if I was
supporting
running
and
it.
pushing concepts like DEI so much these days. After all, another person who works in Nintendo, which Legal Mindset, another YouTuber, brought up is Jennifer Liu. Here's Legal Mindset going over Jennifer Liu's work history, where she used to work at Sony, but now she works at Nintendo, specifically at the Pokemon Company. Here's Jennifer Liu via her own public profile. As always, don't harass anyone. Let's just observe what's going on here.
Yeah, we can all say that these people are trash, that they shouldn't be involved, that they shouldn't be presidents or VPs or anything, but we do not do death threats. We do not harass people. We don't do that. We don't. At the most, we will send emails to a company saying, this is not acceptable. We might boycott something and not buy it. I'm done with Nintendo personally. I'm not buying another thing. What they've gotten out of me so far is all they're getting out of me. Period.
adults. But anyway, Jennifer has worked with the Pokemon Company since 2020, which is not surprising.
I just don't want to give YouTube money. Maybe if the YouTube channel starts making enough money to pay for the YouTube
Given that 2020
whatever,
was when
I might do it so that I don't have
efforts and
ads
initiatives
anymore,
were being
but,
forced and paid
you know,
for by USAID across many Western
for now,
companies and
we don't do
subsidiaries.
that.
Look it up, that's true. I'm
We
sure
just
it's
deal
just
with
a
the ads.
coincidence, right? Doubt it, but the more you know. Anyway, Jennifer Liu was also interviewed as seen in this post from HSUUnited.com. I won't show you the interview in full.
Hey, she doesn't have crazy eyes. I will say that. Because it's always in the eyes.
To save us both the time, but I'll paraphrase it for you. Jennifer confirms that she is a part
Some
of
hide it better than
AABA,
others,
which
though.
stands for Asian American Bar Association, which is a group that works to connect Asian Americans in professional settings.
See, that's what I don't like. You break it down by groups, you're gonna... It should just be people that are in the bar association. It should just be people that are in gaming. It should just be people that are in these industries. There should be no race tied to it. The Black Caucus or whatever the thing is, that just separates people. The more you talk to each other, the better you'll be. The less you will see discrimination. The less you will see problems.
That's not the problem here. The problem is that Jennifer describes herself as the former president and co-chair of the in-house council committee. This is an anti-bias and diversity committee that focuses specifically on DEI efforts like addressing discrimination and promoting equitable opportunities in law firms.
See, here's the thing. Let me get on my grandpa's soapbox really quick. Equality and equity are two very different things. Equality says you get the same chance whether you're male or female, black or white, Asian, Hispanic, anything. You get the same opportunities. No one can tell you you can't do it because you're a woman. No one can tell you you can't do it because you're Asian. No one can tell you you can't do it because of anything about you. Equity says we are going to ignore X, Y, and Z that makes you qualified, and we are instead going to make sure that we give it to person X because they are an Asian or a woman or black or Hispanic. They choose whatever the specific feature that they need is, and that is equity. That's not acceptable to a meritocracy like the United States. And that's why this Marxist ideology, because that's what it is Marxist, is so corrupting and evil and vile, because it literally breaks you down. You are not you. You are not Kevin from Wyoming. You are now black man that is 30 years old who is gay. You are not you. You are the summation of your parts, and that's what that intersectionality crap is all about.
Corporations. This is a long way of saying that she's pro-DEI and wokeness, for lack of a better word, if you will. And that
No
she also
DEI.
supports and protects
Kill
Pokemon
DEI.
specifically now, which if you haven't noticed, for many of Pokemon's games these days, the diversity push has been astronomical compared to previous games, and that is definitely not putting that lightly, dude. It's really no surprise that games...
I do call on everyone that ever sees this, stop buying Nintendo games. Stop buying them. Stop buying them. If you really want to play one, figure out a way to borrow it. Figure out a way to borrow it without buying it. Because if the games are getting worse and worse and worse, and the value is getting worse and worse and worse, the only way to send the message to a company that you do not like the direction they're going is to not buy their stuff. That's the fact of the matter. So stop buying their stuff. I'm not buying anything of theirs.
Things like Pokemon Go had a controversial update like a year ago that completely ruined the character models, as you can see in these examples, where the characters went from having actual...
They made the attractive female trainer into the ugliest person ever and took away any features. I played Pogo for so long, and the girl models and the boy models were very distinct, and both were very attractive. Handsome men, beautiful women. Look at that. There's no hourglass to it. Look at this. Look at this. It's a straight line. This looks so amateurish because they don't want to actually make a woman look attractive. This is stupid. This is dumb as can be. If you look like this, I'm sorry. You gotta go do something. Because this looks like you told AI, hey, generate something that you don't know if it's male or female, and give it A cups on its chest.
Feminine bodies
Unacceptable.
to becoming some weird mixture of
I didn't even
both
know they did that.
genders to appease the usual
Look at
types.
that.
We know that Nintendo is pro DEI.
Look at that. They gave dick space. They gave dick space. That goes that low on men because we have a penis and balls down there. It goes higher on women because they have nothing. Their legs go all the way up to their hips. That they made their female character just trans. That's what this is. Oh my gosh.
You can find it on their websites, like the Pokemon Company is seen here.
That's
plain as day
horrible.
for all to see their commitment to DEI, which has clearly not stopped. So the point of this is that what I'm trying to say is that the new heads of Nintendo of America are the exact kind of people who will not really fix the problems that are currently.
No, they're gonna
plaguing
make it
Nintendo,
just as
but simply
worse.
enforce and probably make them worse in the long run based on their past actions alone. If Shibata was not willing to stop the imperial march of DEI to invest everything Nintendo
So
related
bad.
before on his various positions as either CEO of Nintendo of Australia or I guess Europe, which is a combined almost 20 years of service to Nintendo alone, what makes you think he will now? Devin Pritchard is hardcore pro-censorship and lawsuit proven already. There's no way that Nintendo's overzealous push to sue everything into the Shadow Realm will suddenly get better with Devin now running the show.
Avatars are
And
always
mark
cute.
my words, like every company, when a female CEO gets promoted, these places are going to be filled to the brim as quickly as possible with other like-minded activists too. And at
That's
that
a
point,
problem.
Nintendo of America might as well as
That's one of the biggest problems is that the rot creates more rot. They don't ever just leave it, they create more rot around it. And that's not cool. Like, it's one thing if it's like, hey, we're going to let you do your thing. But the problem is that one person hires 2 to 3 other people. And then if they get a chance, they hire 2 to 3 other people. And before you know it, 25% of your organization is suddenly this super woke bullshit.
rebrand to like Sweet Baby Inc. version 2 pretty much, because their belief systems will definitely just intertwine pretty easily at that point. If you ever needed a visualizer of what the difference is between Nintendo's previous overall president, whose name was Tatsumi Kimishima, versus current Nintendo president, whose name is Shantaro Furukawa, just look at this image on screen here of the games and how the female characters specifically have been depicted when these two presidents were in control.
So look at this. So Kimishima, Booba, attractive feminine shape, but goth. She looks not as much. Look, the Inkling has titties. That is a booty. That is a gyat right there. There's another gyat. Now, I just looked at this Inkling's forehead. That is a 10 head. That is a 10 head. That thing is massive. It gets its own planetary gravity at that size. Holy cow. That's the difference between male and female in the new Pokemon games? That's atrocious. I hated this about Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. These types of models and things, like, okay, so I'm not sure if this is probably one of the Hyrule Warriors games, I'm assuming, because I don't remember this person specifically from Tears. But when I went to Tears, or whenever I started playing Tears of the Kingdom, and there was the mushroom stuff, I was just like, this is cringy and annoying, and I hate it. Please take it out. This character, let's make a grandma that raps. Okay, that seems a little racist, but also stupid. Peach, I did not like that they redesigned Peach. Just use the old design of Peach. She has been that way for literally decades. Why are you updating it? I get you want it to be whatever, but Mario got the most minor of updates he could have gotten. That's funny because it's ma'am, like the butch dude that likes to think he's a woman. And then Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has a non-binary character. Yeah, no one wants this. No one wants this. There is a small percentage of the population that even identifies with trans stuff. The majority of your gamer base wants that ass, wants those tatas. That's what the majority of the gamer base wants.
control of Nintendo's properties based on when they were. As you can see, the
Look
current sitting
at
president
Gacha
on the right
games.
there tells you
Just give it the
everything
biggest
that
titties you
need to
can,
know.
or the
Plenty
biggest
of
butt.
DEI, ugly women, and vague body types, versus the baseness of Kimishima, who actually did allow Nintendo to make male and especially female characters look gender accurate. Finally, I want to end this video with one final stupid thing, which is Nintendo responding to the United States government. If you don't know, they were using the Pokemon theme song and intro for their ICE video,
which was
about
hilarious,
capturing illegals recently. As seen here from IGN, Nintendo did not authorize this at all. Of course, Nintendo fans want Nintendo now to sue the United States government, but they won't be doing that. One, because the government of America has deeper pockets than Nintendo, but two, because despite them hating what they did with their Pokemon song, unfortunately for Nintendo, that's still fair use. It's as much a meme as someone making a video on YouTube as a joke, but it does sicken me to see Nintendo fans just immediately try to turn to censorship because of something they don't like. They're just like their overlords. They want to censor everything. Although you did have YouTubers like Mother's Basement, a anime YouTuber, who said this about the whole Pokemon Ice thing, as it reads here. That Pokemon video is some heinously evil stuff, using a piece of our collective childhoods to dehumanize targets of state violence. I never want to...
No, there's no state violence. There's no state violence. You broke the law coming into the United States illegally. We have, in the United States, the authority to arrest you and send you home. We're sending these people home. We're not hurting them. We're not doing stuff like that. Anytime, I've seen more people get hurt trying to escape ICE than got hurt by ICE. Because they came here illegally. They know they did it illegally. They know they did something wrong, and they know it's not acceptable. You can't make that argument that it's state violence when it is enforcing the law that has been agreed upon and has been in place forever. It's been decades and decades. You cannot say that it's suddenly fascism to enforce laws. That's why California has shops literally closing everywhere, because they allowed up to $950 or something like that to be stolen without it being a real crime. So, guess what? As long as you go in and you steal $800 worth of stuff and then you leave, you're fine. It's stupid.
Another complaint about injecting politics.
Enforcing law is important.
Mother's Basement, in case you can't tell, is showing his lack of basic history skills here, but the liberal side, actually, in case you don't know, has been spending decades working to ruin and inject as much political jargon as they can into the favorite hobbies of many, and you, Mother's Basement, and others did nothing about it because you clearly agreed with the politics. But now that the same things are being used against you, now it's suddenly bad and evil. Wow. Interesting how that works, isn't it? Unfortunately for Mother's Basement, who usually just comes off as condescending at the best of times, this just proves that this guy doesn't really know what he's talking about at all here. The fact that he laid quiet, okay, as video games and anime and more became increasingly political and with the whole localizers and all of that, but really did nothing to fix any of it because they didn't want to, anger companies or, oh my god, lose access. That tells you everything you need to know. These are the exact kind of fans of, being like a Nintendrone, if you will, that Nintendo wants in their ranks these days. People who will
I would never work for a
Nintendo lay on their knees and
situation
and slurp up
with all this.
anything that Nintendo gives them, no matter how much DEI infested or stupid it is, because they truly believe that they're on the right side of history when they really aren't. When in reality, all they really are is pro-censorship, anti-freedom, and most importantly of all, a bit stupid in the brain too. Plus, saying that it's dehumanizing, these people are literally illegal in America. Whatever. This video's good enough anyway. Let's just move on. But that's what I got for you today, okay? Nintendo's future is looking, as we can all pretty much agree right now, very pro-censorship and DEI, it seems. Somehow more than usual, which is, alarming. But what do you think about all of this? And should Nintendo sue the United States government? Personally, I doubt it, because again, it is fair use. But if there's one thing for sure, Nintendo has never been more anti-consumer, anti-freedom, and anti what they used to uphold as their values than they are right now. And if you ask me, it saddens me greatly. But as always, thank you for watching, subscribe, see you next time. Oh, and Nintendo, stop being annoying. Thanks.
Stop being annoying. Alright, there we go. Endymion's video. Yeah. Nintendo's absolutely screwed. That's my view of it, personally. They are doing things that are unhealthy for the community. They're doing things that are unhealthy for video gaming as a whole. They are promoting people who are scummy and, you know, have huge issues with actually making... it was said before that games should always be fun first. That is Nintendo's mantra on everything. It should be fun first, and then, you know, the rest of it comes after that. And yet now we are seeing Nintendo do a 180, and all that they care about is basically blocking out any competition through legal means rather than winning through the actual, you know, like, market competition. That's not an acceptable way to do it, to me. You know? That is not the way that I would say is good. That is all I have to say about that. But, yeah, Endymion's channel, go check him out. Let me know in the comments below what you guys really think. Maybe there's spots that I'm not thinking about things. Maybe you guys have points on things. Maybe you want to just say that you appreciate the video, and that's awesome. But either way, thank you guys for the listen. I will start streaming for Halloween streaming stuff starting Tuesday, October 3rd? No, 2nd. Thursday, October 2nd. I'm going to start streaming. I might start streaming Tuesday. We'll see. But I'm going to start streaming Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 to midnight Central Time, 9 to 11 Eastern Time, and 6 to 10 Pacific Standard Time. With that, check me out on Twitch. We're going to start out with the Zombie Army trilogy. And, yeah, that's my little plug for my Twitch. So hopefully I'll see you guys there. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you, and have a nice day.